Let's see. Can I hear you now?
I can hear you.
It's me. It's not you. uh,
How are you?
oh, now I can hear you. Sort of. I'm driving. I'm on Daddy daycare. About to pull up. I got to pick up my kid in an hour, so I thought I'd just drive there now. And the audio, I'm going to have to reset my audio. Hold on 1 second.
No worries, Charlie. We can hear you. How you doing, Jessica?
Good, how are you?
Hey, pretty good.
I'm in the middle of a battle with an underwriter. That's why my face is all serious.
It's okay. Well, those underwriters, they cause us problems sometimes, don't they?
They're like the cops of the loan world, aren't they?
And
They're in charge.
they're like undercover cops.
Yes.
We don't even know who they are or where they are. They never tell us who they are.
They're more like the IRS. The IRS of the lending world.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. The IRS, they're also hidden, even more so.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
seems to be better now.
Perfect. Perfect. I was telling Jessica that I'm on a daddy daycare duty this week. Cassie went down to Florida for a trip with a couple of her girlfriends, and so at the top of the hour, I've got to pick up the first of the kids from school. They go on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna park at the beginning of this, and that way I'm not driving at the end of it.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. There's only 3 of us so far, including you.
Yeah, let me check, see if anyone's in the waiting room.
Okay.
Tried to turn that off. Nope, just us so far.
Okay.
Yeah. And any how's business? Anything new coming up, Jim?
You know, I was kind of just hearing a report, and it's true for me as well. I was hearing a report about how some houses are selling really, really fast with multiple offers, and then there's some that are not, and they're sitting on the market for a longer period of time. And the difference here in Denver is like, during COVID, everything was selling, right? Everything was selling, but right now, buyers, they are picking the cream of the crops, the ones that are fixed up, the ones that are looking good, the ones that are maybe priced right. And and that's so true. Like I have 2 houses I can mention on both extremes. I had a house in this little city called Wheat Ridge, is actually where I went to school, called Wheat Ridge High School. And this house was in 1961, really, really good shape. And we ended up getting 18 offers in 4 days. And the price, the price got pushed up $150,000 higher than list price. And then the other extreme is a house that I just put on the market in a big giant suburban town called Highlands Ranch. And a lot of people have even heard of that are not from Colorado. But anyway, this one was a 24-year-old house where the seller never did anything to it. And so in 24 years, a house can get pretty outdated. And we put it on the market, and there was a house down the street that was all updated, and they put it on the market the same day we did, and they got 22 offers and we got almost one offer, but we didn't get an offer. So it goes to show that we're kind of in that market where, you got to really consult with your seller, because if they're too high in price, if they're not fixed up, they don't do anything to their house, it could be harder. It could be challenging. The difference between the suburban house was suburban house was just a regular suburban house, right? Built in 1999. And the other house was a cute all brick ranch with a lot of cool upgrades back in 1961 that still looked pretty cool. And that house, man, and I did a video on that one too, Charlie. And the video was watched by like 300 people in like 4 days. It was pretty cool. And
That's awesome.
yeah, and almost every realtor that I talked to said, man, we just love your video. One realtor said, why aren't all realtors doing this? That's what one realtor said. That made me feel really good. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on in my world, right now. And I'm getting ready for Bro Vance. Excited about that coming up here this weekend. It's going to be really good to hear everybody speak. And I'll be one of the speakers there as well. And I'm getting pretty excited about it.
That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to make it to the September one. I'm sad I'm not going to be able to make it to this one.
Okay. And I think Dale, aren't you coming, Dale?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Cool. And then Nathan, are you going to be there, Nathan?
Yes, I will be there.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great to see you, Nathan.
Yeah, really good to be here, you guys.
Jessica, are you part of Provence or?
Not yet. Maybe one of these days I'll do that.
You keep hanging around the barber shop, you'll eventually get a haircut.
I like that.
I was a member of the core coaching and I just got out of it. So
Yeah.
you're familiar with the core. I know Bro Vance is just a little different.
There's a lady in my office, her name is Nisa. She started with us about 7 years ago, and she's never gone to Bro Vance. She's kind of always wanted to go, but she's going to make it this time. This will be her first time. And so like, she's pretty psyched about coming out. I think coming out to this one would be cool too, because, they're all good, but this one's pretty cool because you get to hear all kinds of cool people speak and stuff. Not that I'm cool, but
You are the real Jim Urban.
well, hey, they used to call me All In Jim. I'll hang on to that one, All In Jim.
I like that. I like that. How's business for you, Nathan? What's going on with it?
Hey, you guys. Yes, it's good to be back. Things have been, I have some really good stories. I guess the one story that I like to share is that, we all, I guess we can all agree that, how listings you speak pro and all that. And I had something interesting that occurred with me the other day, along with just the NAR settlement. I think it gave me a different perspective on how I responded to this buyer that called me on my listing. And basically, it went like this, and he's talking to me and he's sharing with me that he would like to, he's interested in my listing. And then he was saying, I have agents, I have people that can represent me, Nathan, but I feel like I should just go straight to you, so that you can make more money. And right when he said that, I was listening to him. And then I said to him, I said, hey, listen, Jack, um, in the stage of in my career right now, it's not all about me just making no more money. I just want you to know this. And I just want you to know that I have a fiduciary duty to my seller where my focus is to find the highest amount of money with the right terms in the shortest amount of time. So I just want you to know, if you feel like you want to, purchase this property, perhaps you need to talk to somebody else that can represent you, knowing that they're going to be fighting for you. And then he just said, hey, he says, hey, he stopped me. He says, hey, listen, I like you already. I really do. And he said that I've been doing this for some time, and it seems like you're just not a money hungry agent. I said, well, it's not so much like that. It's just that, I just want to let you know exactly where my stance is, and I'm not swayed by you telling me how I can make more money. I think I'm not like I took offense to that, but I just kind of like, I just took it away, more or less, because double ending to me, it's always like a problem. I mean, it's always kind of sketchy to me. I always have been that way. And so will I do a double ending transaction? Yes, I will, but that's not my focus, and I think that just having that stance, it felt really good to talk to him about that. And he told me afterwards, he says, I have some other property that I need to sell. If you're fighting for your seller the way that you fought right now, I would like to talk to you about you representing me on some other transactions. I said, okay, well, we could talk. And so that's what just occurred. Actually, I was at a retirement party, and I wasn't even going to answer my phone because it was a power day. And then I'm walking up to the party. Music is playing like loud. One of my clients retired from AAA, and it was like all kind of energy in the air. I just picked up my phone, and it was him, and it was like, he's like, man, you're partying crazy. And that conversation went with loud music in the background. It was really a fun conversation.
That's awesome. It's fun to me. I see you, Jim, and Dale, and for whatever reason, you guys I've been seeing your referrals while you sleep ads in my Instagram, like the last like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I just keep seeing you guys pop up. So Nathan, it's good to see you in real life too.
Yeah, it's really good to see you as well, Charlie.
And I stopped your video because it was breaking up a little bit, so I thought that might be easier to hear you.
Okay. All right.
It was.
Okay, thank you.
Another thing is, if you put it in people's minds the same way as an attorney, if you're getting a divorce, attorneys can't represent both sides. It's not part of their practice, because then they're not giving the fiduciary duty to the primary client. So if you put it just like that and show that we're professionals, it puts it in the same light. And I don't like to double in transactions either. It's not part of how we run our business. But if I have to, I send it over to somebody else on my team. So I don't, I have both sides, but no, I don't.
I had a conversation here about 2 weeks ago with a new seller, and she's selling because she lost her husband. The house needs a lot of work and stuff like this. And I was going through the listing agreement with her, and in our listing agreements, they decoupled the listing commission and the buyer's agent commission, like back in 2019, I think it was, or 2021. Anyways, it says, how much we're going to get paid if we do a dual agency. And I explained what a dual agency was to her. And I says, we cross this out. You need me to fully represent you because of the condition that your house is in. There's going to be a lot of people trying to take advantage of you. And you should have seen the relief just flow through her face. And she just relaxed in her chair And it was all over after that. Just being honest with her, and she needed that, to know that I was there for her and nobody else. So it was a great conversation.
I think it's great that you guys are talking about this, because I've kind of felt the same way myself, especially in the last few years. I think that if I sell the house organically myself, that's great. But if it's like it's sometimes it's always kind of strange. Like you said, Nathan, it's always kind of strange to sell your own listing. It's kind of great, but your seller always feels like you're getting paid too much or something, or whatever it is, And sometimes though, if nobody else is selling it and I sell it, then it feels great. It's like, well, Jim, you gave all the realtors a chance to sell this house, and you were the only one that actually could sell it. So my hat's off to you. I've had sellers say that, like, congratulations. Like, I'm so glad you sold it. Nobody else was selling it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. And in our multiple listings out here, they've made it almost impossible to double-sided transaction. The litigation it looks like it's very high. It gives both clients a lot of leeway to go after you. And so today is just not worth the risk. And I said, I can, being a dual agent, I can a limited dual agent. All I can do is shuffle paper. I can't give you any advice or any support or anything. And so they're fine with that when I explain to them what it really means and what's going on.
well,
Yeah.
we don't allow dual agency here, but we become a transaction broker to the buyer, and we still remain a seller's agent to the seller. And we just have to treat that buyer as a customer, and we have to be fair and honest. But we don't allow dual agency here.
Oh,
I like that way of doing it. I like what you said too, Dana, about talk about it like a divorce attorney. Because I think that kind of puts it in light. I think most people will be like, oh yeah, I would want my own person for me. And it makes sense to me.
I just tell the buyer, I say, you have to come up with an idea if you think you want to make an offer. I can't sit there and pull comps for you and try to talk the seller down, because I need to present the offer to the seller, the best offer to the seller. But so they're a customer and I represent the seller. So that's how we handle it. Transaction broker agency. Every state is so different, isn't it? It's so different.
Yeah.
It is a lot more
Yeah.
different than I think it should be.
Yeah, it is. It's confusing. We and a dual agency for us is and it might even be this way for you guys as well. So any other branch that has the same broker license is, still under that dual agency. So like, even though, like, let's just say, for example, Dana, let's just say that you and I work for the same brokerage, the same broker license, but we're in different cities, and then I call you and I say, Dana, can you, represent this buyer that wants to purchase my listing? It's still dual agency.
In Oregon, it's that way as well.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think they decided in Denver that you just can't serve two masters. It's just impossible.
And that's the truth. I mean, that's the same example as the attorneys.
You either love one or hate the other, right?
Well,
That almost sounds
Well,
biblical.
and you have to go step up for more lawsuits. You have
Hey,
to
let's go.
step up for
Let's
more
go
lawsuits.
scripture. Let's go scripture. You know, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. You know.
well, scripturally, we know there's only one master. We know
That's
that.
right. That's right, brother.
Jesus Christ, and I'll say his name.
That's right. That's right, brother.
I love that.
But I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the truth is you can't really serve both clients effectively anyway. You know, you're just transacting the deal, but you can't represent both clients. And I say, who do you want to represent you? The listing agent? They have a relationship with the seller. That doesn't even make sense.
Right.
Yeah. When I first started working with an estate attorney 25 years ago, he said, Jim, how are you going to sell your own listings? You need to represent me. I don't want you to represent the buyer. And then I explained it to him. I said, if the buyer wants me to write up the offer, I will, but they're going to be a transaction broker and I will continue to be a seller's agent. I'll be on your side. And he goes, well, you better be. He said, I don't want you representing that buyer. Because I'm the one, I hire you.
There's lawyers here that won't use a lot of agents because they double end a lot, and I don't, and they like me, so it's a
Yeah,
good thing.
that's cool. Well, I let it happen organically if it's going to happen. Like usually if I submit an offer with a bunch of multiple offers, my buyer doesn't usually get it anyway because the chances are so slim. If you got 18 offers, like one of those is going to be like a stronger buyer, somewhere. And
Right.
but if it's not selling and I write up a contract and I become a hero, it's like, man, Jim, you like all these realtors in Denver and you're the only one that wrote an offer on our house. You're our hero.
Right.
Yeah,
makes
I
sense.
feel this. I feel the same way. It comes like very organically, like you say, Jim. I'm not manufacturing, um, the outcome. But even when it comes organically, I still sometimes I have a conversation with myself, like, okay, do you really want to do this? Because during that time, it's a little troublesome to me, uh, and so and that feeling has never went away, and all these years, it's still the same, and I wonder why.
Well, I'll give you one case that's actually probably the thing that makes you feel the strangest and the weirdest and probably it's when you actually want to buy your own listing. You list a house and you want to buy it yourself. Then all of a sudden they look at you as the bad guy, like, you're trying to negotiate with us or whatever, and that's if you try to negotiate. But the very first house I bought, my very first home, we had an offer come in on this house and I was selling real estate for 2 years before I even owned a house. I was 23 years old. And an offer came in and we went under contract and they did the inspection and they literally got out for some of the strangest reasons. What happened is this guy's psychiatrist friend came into the house and said, you shouldn't buy this house. And so he killed the deal. And I told my seller, I said, I will buy your house if you want me to for the same exact price that guy was paying, and I will not ask for anything on the inspection. And the seller said, we'll sell it to you and your wife for the same price. And then that's how we bought our first house. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
I was showing
That is.
I was showing to Tony Ray. He one of the houses the house that I think he's living in right now after he had those pipe bursts or whatever, and his other one is when he shared out when he sat down with the seller, after the kind of the 5, 6, 7, that he told that like the seller didn't need to sell, they needed to go be with the family member. He said, you go be with the family member, I'll watch over the house, and when you get back, I'll buy it, and we'll just get an appraisal, and I'll pay whatever the appraisal says. And when the guy got back, that's the way he did it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, it's hard to be a realtor and buy things sometimes because they always think we're supposed to be more knowledgeable, right? And we're supposed to know. So it makes it a little bit challenging sometimes, but
yeah. I thought it was pretty interesting, Nathan, that you said that you had that conversation already with that person, and kind of leads me in. I'm segueing into what I wanted to get y'all's opinions on for, and tell you a story. So I was talking to a friend that is a gym owner, and he was going to start like doing private lessons with people. And what he ended up doing was he ran Google ads, but then he used basically the referrals while you sleep system, and he had a different article. The person saw, imagine like a different video or a different article every week for 12 weeks. So basically it was like a 12-week referral while you sleep campaign. So week 1, they saw this video, week 2, another one, week 3, week 4, week 5. And he actually became like the number one in the area, like over a number of months. Like it just worked. He got the lead and then just stayed in front of him. Of course, we don't want leads, but, you know, just thinking about our clients, you know, read the news, they hear people, and I love the thought of having like a 12-week message to my clients. Like, what if I could have, what was it? It'd be like 4 a year, like basically a 12-week campaign. And I wanted to get y'all's thoughts, opinion on that. Like, if you had like a message a week for 12 weeks that kind of told one story, like what would you want your people to start seeing like in the summer that would run for 12 weeks?
I think, you know, the preparation of selling, you know, every time that I have worked with a seller, and say, for example, I came in, we did an initial consultation, we went through a 5, 6, and 7. We talked about what it would take to get to their 5, 6, and 7, and utilize the room by room review in terms of integrating that, in terms of getting the house ready to sell. I really feel like that is going to be, that's always still a huge point of speed of conversion, when the seller is involved with getting the house completely ready to show its best, and just having that story. And of course, this is kind of like somewhat real estate 101 to you and I, to us on this call, but just to have that story to my audience, just to make sure that, you know, for those that are thinking about selling, that this is what they have, this is what they must do to have that amazing experience too, in terms of finding the right buyer, not just any other buyer. That's what resonates with me when I hear what you're saying, Charlie.
I love that. It kind of reminds me too of if you remember when Bro had the Hot 100 letters, and it was like 12 letters for a seller over a year. And a lot of it, that's what it was. It was actually preparing the seller on like everything that would need to do to get the house sold. But it was like dripped over a period of time that was kind of if we're using Robert Cialdini's phrase, we're persuading them, right?
Right.
So-
And another thing, another thing I noticed too is that just the stress of the seller selling their home, it decreases. Like when I look at the difference of sellers that we prepared for selling opposed to sellers that I didn't go through this process, I can see the stress level for the seller that prepared it. They're more excited about the process after they got the house ready. It's like preparation, preparation with opportunity creates an explosion, creates an eclipse. Preparation with opportunity creates like that beautiful, like, eclipse. But what I'm saying is that that's another thing too, is that in that story, to say about, sometimes I think that sometimes I even kind of like forget a little bit that sellers go through a lot of turbulences, in that process. And if I can make that process even smoother, with getting them prepared, it's going to bring just an amazing, transaction experience.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying, Nathan, 100%. But this client I have right now, with the woman that lost her husband, the house is in pretty rough shape. It's a beautiful view property. It'll probably get torn down and 2 houses built in place of it, for the view. But this woman, she would have never contacted me if she thought she had to make her house in perfect condition or, in really great selling condition. So if a person was to do that, I would also, put in a subcontext that it's not necessary if you can't afford it, because this woman, she can't afford to bring her house up to a sellable condition. And it would have just put fear in her mind.
Dale, what you're saying, I 100% agree with you on that point too. I had a situation, a seller had a home that was, this house was so bad. Ask me, how bad was it?
How bad was it?
It was so bad that when we did the open house, we had a canopy out in the front yard, and myself and one of my team partners, we didn't even go inside the home. We it wasn't even during COVID, but we gave masks and gloves out during that time. Hey, you guys, it was over 100 people on this one day bringing. It was, so it's also telling a story. So like, to our audience, for example, anyone, if you have something that you feel you don't know how to go about selling it, and it's at a point where you don't know if how to do this because the house is not in the top condition. Well, here's a story. This is what we can do for you. And you guys, I'm gonna say this right now. It was so bad that one day when I went to go check on the home, someone went inside the home, a human being, and just did his business on the living room floor.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like, to add to the so bad smell, it just was another cherry on top. It was bad. But that house grabbed so much attention that day.
I bet.
So I agree with you, Dale. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie,
do you have any?
on those
Go ahead.
levels you were talking about, is there a way that we could convert those into some a 12-week course?
I bet we could. Do any of y'all still have the copies of the old Hot 100 buyer seller letters?
I don't even know where to find them. I'm sure we can contact somebody at Bro without a problem.
Yeah, I don't know those.
I think I've got a copy somewhere where I saved. I'll look and see, because that was I'm pretty sure Dean wrote them when he worked with Joe with Bro, and when I first got into real estate, I would send it to people that weren't ready to move yet, and that was really good follow up to my sphere of influence when they were looking to move. And yeah, my next question was going to be, what would be a good call to action from those videos or articles? But I bet if we look at those letters, it'll tell us a good call to action as well.
Yeah. One of us, I'd be happy to make the call to Mario or an email to him and see if he can pull those up. And if we put those up on our Facebook page, we could read through them and see what the collective idea is with them.
Right. Yeah, I like that. And kind of, my idea is, who knows, maybe it could just be 12 that you rotate, or maybe there's a couple different offers. Maybe we've got one that talks about, hey, I can sell your home as is, or, could be, why you need a buyer's agent right now. What would you just want it for listings, or would you want a few different 12-week campaigns that we could rotate?
For right now, I think there's some buyers sitting on the fence that need some thoughts. I think if we, just like the buy referral email campaign that goes out, I can't think of what it's called, the whatever it is, it seems to skip. 1 week will be about buyers information, the next week it might be sellers information. And I think if you just kept going with that, or duplicating it,
Gracie and I talked about the cost that it costs people for not buying in the last 2 years ago when they didn't buy and they're still looking. And we actually went through and we calculated how much they would have gained in value in their home and in how much it cost them on the interest rates.
Oh, that would be good.
The cost of waiting is what we talked about yesterday in our video.
I actually produced a paper on that, Dana, and I actually got a sale out of it at an open house. Now, this is probably about 3 months ago, October, November, 4 months ago now, 5 months ago. And these people, they've been sitting on the fence for probably a year and a half. And after they saw the numbers, they got right after it. And I sold them that house that I had an open house on. I could see if I could find it and share it with you. I got it off some mortgage company that produces it. Actually, you just put in the numbers and it'll come up with the information from you.
Yeah, well, doing the video, the dual video, we did it because we both were talking about, where's the prices gone in that time, because we're up over 20% here from then. So, let's talk about that value and how much it costs them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dana, I love the thought of what you said, the cost of waiting. That's a good headline. The cost of waiting is real. It's not a used car salesman type of tactic. It's a reality. And I think the cost of waiting is just it's gonna get worse.
Well,
it's gonna get costly.
Are going up again. We're getting multiple offers, especially on the lower price points, because the downside seniors are trying to buy the same houses that the first time buyers are trying to buy, and the seniors can pay cash and they're winning.
I guess you would also state it like, okay, the cost of waiting costed you this much, but it's still not too late. Like you kind of have to give them hope. Like,
Yep.
Right.
Well, and the prices are going up, so how much more is it gonna cost you 2 years from now, you know?
yeah,
I mean,
still not
that's
too
why I
late.
want to buy my retirement home now. And my husband doesn't really want to. So, so it becomes a bone of contention at home, but I'm just sitting there going, I can get it for less now and get more, so let's go do it.
So that place is called MBS Highway. M like Mary, B like boy, S like Sam, MBS Highway. And you can log in there and do a free 1 week thing and make a couple of these if you wanted to at different price ranges.
Well, and what we did is
Can-
we recorded it. We sat and worked through the math on both things and went over it and then recorded the video. So it was good.
The other question I have for you, Dana, is for those people that say, well, we're just not going to do it until we're ready because our home is going up in value still. And then we're going to sell our home when we're ready to buy. So our home will keep going up and so will the retirement home. That'll keep going up. But if you're just adding another home, then you should do it now. But if you, so
Well, I mean, if I add a home, rent it for a few years, then go in and do the fix-ups I want before I move in, it's not gonna hurt me.
that's a good thought too. Then you're,
I
well,
can
then
sell the home I'm in without doing a 1031 exchange, fix up that home and move into it.
because you'll have your home and the retirement home just ready there for you. They'll both go up in value.
Exactly.
So there you go.
It's like you are actually preparing yourself, like the seller, like we talked about. You're preparing yourself for an amazing transaction when that time is right for you, Dana. I love that.
Well, and you know, I mean, maybe I should record that one.
Yeah, that would be a good one. You know, if you get specific like that, you're going to make people think like what we're doing right now. It's like, well, have you ever thought about maybe buying your retirement home now and keeping your home so they both go up in value? And then when you're ready, you can rent out your retirement home for a while. And then at the end of one of the leases, you can say, well, I think we're ready to move in. Let's do a little fix up to it. We'll replace the carpet. We'll move in on virgin flooring, you know, and stuff like that.
And virgin flooring and virgin paint, because I always paint and redo before we move into a house every time. I've always done that. My husband thinks I'm crazy, but then I don't have to do anything for 15 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I really, that makes so much sense. And, you know, I've had clients, I've been telling them, like, don't sell right now. Like, you've got an incredibly low interest rate, you know, let's rent it. I've got a property manager I'll refer you to. Like, I'll handle all the hard stuff and connect you to the right team members and let them let them pay. And then, you know, if you want money out of it, get a HELOC on it before you do that. Or, you know, if the interest rates go down and the price goes up, you can sell it at a later time. But right now, why don't you, you've got such a low interest rate. I don't know. A lot of my places, my clients in that situation, their homes will cash flow right now, at least where they are here. I don't know if that's the case where you're at.
My house with cash flow, I've got like 12 months and mine's paid off.
Congratulations.
It's a good feeling.
Well, and right now that means
And,
that I only have one other loan and it's a rental and it's paying for itself.
Even better. Dale, I was going to ask about, you know, it might not be the case for this lady, but do you guys have any people like, we've got a company called Curbio here, and they're handymen / contractors, and their whole sales proposition is we'll
I
come
had a
in,
bad
fix
experience
up.
with them, Charlie.
You did?
Yeah, man. I had actually a horrible experience with them just recently. And I'm familiar with Curbio, and I just think their price margins is just too high. Well, over here, and and their craftsmanship is just very poor. So I actually fired them.
Good. I'm glad you fired them if they suck. They've been good here. I've had one client use them, and it worked well.
Okay.
But even before them, I've got a couple contractors here. One's my brother-in-law. He's really good, and I've had him before where they I worked out a deal where they did the work for my clients, and then they got paid at closing for all the work. And we went to my title company. He put a lien on the house, to make sure he got paid, because he did $70,000 worth of work. It was a lot of work on that. But the house was going to sell. This was a long time ago, but it was going to sell for $110,000. He ended up putting 70 into it, and we ended up getting 240. So, it made him another 70 grand or so. I've just been talking to people how many different options can we give clients, right? What are the options we can give them? It's kind of what made me think of that when you shared that, Dale.
Yeah. Actually, I'm sending a message tomorrow right now about those letters. What were they called? The 100 letters of.
It was the Hot 100 buyer letter and the Hot 100 seller letter. It was on the site before they revamped it a few years ago. And I just looked in my Dropbox. I do have copies of them. So whenever I get to a place, I can put a link to the Dropbox folders as well, if they can't.
Okay, well, I just hit send, so I'm sure he'll get back to me pretty quick.
And what Jessica, as a lender, what would be a 12-week campaign that would be good for you?
Ooh, in this market, you mean?
Sure.
Well, generic.
Yeah.
I think the cost of waiting is a good one. I've heard that for a little bit now, and I'm surprised that I pull that out every now and then. And I'm always trying to figure out how to make stuff like that relevant. And I guess I'm getting a lot. I would probably go into some of the videos I've been making with my agents are kind of why you need to trust us in this crazy market. Because, we have this urgency about us. And I think people think, oh, they just want us to buy. But it's not that.
Right.
We just want them to win. We want them to achieve their goal. And unfortunately, it ends up coming across really urgent, and no one likes to make these decisions quickly. And so I guess I would delve into that piece. Some of the things that we've talked about in the videos are, we haven't seen a market like this at all. This whole, moving quickly, multiple offers, got to decide today. I mean, that's just been the last 3 years. And it is shifting and getting a little bit better. But like Jim said, I mean, there's certain portion of houses that are still meeting that criteria. So
Right.
I don't know. I guess I would really segment out that topic, because I did a 10-minute video with one of my agents about it. But maybe I want to do segments, why we need an answer the same day. Why do we need you to decide immediately? Something like that.
Here's a thought too, Charlie. here's a thought
Yeah.
too, is if we do this, I think we could all, you know, taking for what you're posting for us when we're not doing videos like me, you know, you have a picture of me for whatever it is, and then you have the testimonial going down the side of the picture, and that's the ad. You could do the same thing with if we picked any of these letters to start with, but we could start out about, you could have one generic one for each one of us because we're all going to different clients, so nobody's going to be duplicated. And we could all start out the cost of waiting, and then the next one that comes out of, say, lesson number 2 or whatever it is, but I would number them, and then at the bottom you could say, if you missed, you know, series 1 through 3, you can read them here. So they could always be updated up to the most recent one, which is the current ad. Because we could get into month 7 or you know, week 7, whatever it is, the 7 of the 12, and come up with a new person in our database, and they're probably wondering, you know, what's driving this, because they're kind of going to be in sequence in a way. You know, spring, you know, clean up your yard, you know, get the moss off your roof, clean your gutters, you know, outdoor maintenance type things that you've been waiting for. And I'm just thinking that it would be helpful that they would also have a chance to read the other articles.
Yeah. So you're thinking more like a 1-year system almost, even.
Well, if you're doing a quarterly deal, that's fine. I don't know how often you're going to run these in conjunction with what we've already got going on.
Yeah, kind of
Or
my
in place of that.
the goal of my brainstorm was, after talking to him, was like, could we have, you know, some kind of 12-week campaign? Because I've had, you know, I was talking to Joe Allen over the last few weeks, and if you guys know him, just, you know, brilliant dude, and he was asking for more of like a call, you know, could there be a call to action? Could there be something direct response in here, as well as the, you know, Robert Cialdini persuasion influence stuff? And what, you know, when I talked to the gym owner, it was just this realization, like, oh, like over 12 weeks, like we would have the ability to really share multiple things on one series with them. You know, we could really do something in depth that where it's not just the same. It's not the same article over and over, or not just the same video over and over, but like week 1, week 2, week 3.
I think it's worth trying, but like I say, you know, each week we might get a new person looking at our stuff, and so therefore we would have to give them the availability to look back to see what they missed.
Yeah, that makes sense. To have that, or we also could just do it, because I think the way Dean's letters were, like if you started in July versus January, which when I upload it, you can look at it and see, I don't think they felt sequenced. Like they could all kind of stand alone on their own.
Probably.
And so if that's the case, that way someone didn't feel like they were left out.
But I think the lead off would be, you know, on the buyer side, definitely, and buyer and lender side is, you know, the cost of waiting. And then we could go in there to, you know, jazz up your house a little bit if you want, and go into what Nathan was talking about, the benefits of having your house in, you know, near perfect condition. Another one could be is, you know, what costs you money when you're selling a home, and that's negotiations. Let's eliminate the items for negotiation before we put it on the market.
Right.
So there's 3.
What was the second one that you said?
Well, starting out with the cost of waiting, and then go with Nathan's, you know, the benefits of having your house in pristine condition, you know, fresh paint, fresh flooring, you know, fresh looking roof, the outdoor appearance to get them to come indoors. You know, all sales start with people driving by your house. If they like the neighborhood, they like the street appearance, their next step is to make an appointment to come in.
Right. I like that. Well, I will, like I said, I'm running daddy daycare for the next couple days still, but this week I'll get those Hot 100 seller and buyer letters uploaded to the Facebook group so we can kind of look at them and see.
Yeah.
And Jessica, it'd be good to see if those would work as like templates, even for you as lending.
And now that we've got AI on our side, we could possibly reword some of these too. But I think there should be a call to action button.
Yeah. And I've got a list of what the call to actions used to be. What would you want your call to action to be?
Well, I would just like something on the Facebook page or the Google page to say, you know, click a button here to contact Dale or send Dale a message.
Right.
Because I did miss that one guy and I've never been able to get back in connection with him that inquired about some houses. You know, I went directly to his page, the whole 9 yards. So people are impulsive and we got to allow that.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's awesome. What has this been valuable for you guys?
Always.
Extremely. Charlie, I'm gonna definitely get with you. I have to run, you guys. Charlie, I'll send you a text message later on this evening so we can catch up.
Okay, perfect.
All right, blessings to you, everyone. See you guys.
See you guys. All right, I'm gonna hop off and go pick up Winchester. So.
Okay. Have a good week, everyone.
See you guys.
We'll see you
I
guys.
really appreciate y'all. All right,
See
bye.
some of you next week.
Yeah.